Perfect. Who had the questions? The mic's coming to you. And you guys can keep this, I guess. Treat it good. This has been my mic all day, so don't, don't you waste my battery.
All right. Where do we want to go first? Who's got the first question? No pressure. All right.
Hi, me too.
At what point do you know when to step away?
Ooh, that's a good question. Well, that's actually a growth area for the pursuer, is to self-soothe and create space for the distancer to come forward. So what's really interesting about that dynamic is if one person works on their end, it changes the whole system. So if the pursuer kind of starts to self-contain and allow more space to exist, typically the distancer their growth area is to come forward. So it's trying to balance out that system. Does that answer your question?
Yes, very well, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, this question is for both Alan and Kevin. So you talked about dipping to a low, and you got to a point where that shifted. You know, you were suicidal, you got to a place where you really wanted to take your life, or really dark. And then you turned it around. And what was it? Was there a moment, or was there a click, or something you heard, or do you remember the moment where you decided your life is worth living, you're going in a good direction, and you are, you have to dip to soar sometimes. You got to that dip, how did you soar?
For me, when I was sitting on the edge of the bed and I kind of came out of that, okay, I don't want to be alive anymore, I realized that I think the amount of pain, the amount of suffering, the amount of adversity that I've gone through, and not to compare that to anybody else, but I think I went through what I went through because it might have killed somebody else. And I wanted to use that dip, like you said, to inspire other people. And I don't think a lot of people talk about the dark nights, the insecurities, the lack of confidences. And I think if more people talked about that, it would be, you'd be able to be more vulnerable. And every single one of us here has dealt with that at some point. Like, not even Alan is the most confident person I've ever met. He's not confident all the time, right? We all deal with insecurities. So for me, it was just a matter of turning my adversity into a message and helping other people. That was my goal.
Thank you for that compliment. I appreciate it. So for me, for everyone in here, and that's the thing that the personal development industry doesn't talk about enough, in my opinion, is like the deep pain. Because when you're in emotional pain, like I really do believe that's the inflection point of the trajectory of your life. Do you create a virtue, or do you escape it? And how long, this is the thing about the human condition that I've figured out. If your past was painful, and your present is painful, you have no choice, if you sit in it, than to create a vision and go into the future. To me, I didn't realize this, but having lost my father, like everyone in here has something that touches them at the deepest level. All of us can talk about motivation, but at the end of the day, we're moved most by emotion. I say emotions move mountains. If you think of the things that piss you off the most, that frustrate you the most in the world, for me, it's lack of potential. So when I got into that car accident and I realized that could have been it, what hurt me the most was realizing that I was not living up to my potential, and that could have been it. And wasted potential in myself and others has always bothered me to my core, but I realize that's because I believe so deeply in people. And that's my thing, to get all of you to believe in your own brighter future so that you chase it, because what will become of you will be so much more. And like when you're in emotional pain, don't escape it. Sit with it, because you're gonna see something you didn't see before. You're gonna meet someone you wouldn't have met otherwise, because when you're in pain, you're present and you're focused on a brighter future, and you're gonna find the persons, places, things, and ideas that will really get you to that next level, I believe, because you can't stay where you are. The human condition, when it's in emotional pain, it won't stay where it is. You can escape into the past, or escape into a vice, or develop a future. I choose the third one. I finally started choosing the third one, is what I should say.
I was going to say that from my observation, both of you decided, a lot of people we live in it, but you didn't live in it. You are now sharing your story, which is really important, and it's going to help a lot of people, so thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Do 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 do.
Hi everybody, my name's Billy. Great to be here today. I'm totally obsessed with life. So I have one question. Everybody doesn't have to answer it, but if you could just give us one major, you guys come up with one. I want to make sure that in 2020, going forward with the entertainment business and podcasting and even social media, I call them social media bugs, but what would be one thing that you would tell me to not do in order to never play myself in 2020?
So I think we should do four, like we'll do one each, quick. I would say do not compare yourself to the social media and pretend life of other people because you have no clue what's going on behind the scenes. And if you're always comparing yourself with other people's highlight reels, you're not going to feel very good about yourself.
The one thing not to do is avoid the truth. We all have insecurities. This is something that I attribute. Kevin's so good at this. He admits the truth to himself and to others, and he's vulnerable, and he continues to do that on the podcast. And when you admit the truth to yourself, there's no choice but to sit in that emotional pain and then start to work on it. We're all a work in progress, and when you admit the truth and sit in that pain, then you'll actually start doing something about it rather than just pretending it's fine forever.
Thank you. Something not to do. I would say to feel like you're waiting to be ready, because I don't think we're ever 100% ready. And we just got to jump and make choices and do the best that we can, and we learn and grow and kind of move on from there. So that would be my tip.
Mine would be never stop learning. So through your dips and highs, always learn from whatever's happening, and always don't ever forget to use the internet as your tool. So read blogs, watch videos, take courses. Every single day should be a moment of learning, because the only way you can move the needle is if you actually push through the walls and actually learn something new. A lot of us get too comfortable with, oh, well, I know X, Y, and Z, and you just kind of like coast, right? But don't ever coast, because you will always be one step away from missing that big opportunity of knowledge. So that's what I have.
Hi, I'm over here in the middle. My question's to Tory. And just a comment first. Although I haven't seen you on Instagram yet, I'll assert that you were as good as better today because you were nervous and you shared it authentically. You were vulnerable.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
My question is, although I know this isn't your area of expertise necessarily, but can you share your thoughts on the importance and the challenge of business relationships to the success of, to our own success and to the success of the business?
Oh, yeah, that's a great question, because I think that it's everything. I think the relationships we build, I don't think we realize how important they are. I mean, you guys could speak, especially these guys, because I've formed a relationship, which is why I'm here. Every step along the way, I know personally, I've gotten into a room because I've made a relationship with someone, right? I mean, it's vital to, I think, our careers and just kind of moving forward and making sense of things. And it's huge. But I don't know if I'm answering your question. Was there anything specific about business relationships, or if they were important?
I mean, I guess part of the context is I think people, there's so many things to do in a business, and sometimes the relationships get ignored, and that's...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so
yeah.
That's the context, and I just was curious on your perspective on that.
Oh, yeah, I think that it's huge. I mean, I've worked in so many different settings before private practice, and I think one of the most successful ones is when the relationships were focused on, right? Because we're real people dealing with things behind us. You know, you go to your job, you have one part of you, but we have so many things going on in the background. So if you can form genuine, real connections with people beyond the person you have to show up to be, I think it makes such a big difference. I think we don't value it enough, honestly, because we're just so focused on production or success or this and that. But when we treat people like, you know, they're full, whole person coming, I think it makes a huge difference. Yeah. Yep.
So what I would focus on is nurturing relationships, because you guys all here can make connections, and that's all good and dandy. But what are you doing after? So my biggest thing for business is don't just make that connection, but nurture it. And what I mean by that is you're gonna wanna send that message, that email, that text message, and check in as outside of business. You wanna build that relationship and not just